Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on PharcydeTV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio.
Going on, everybody?
And my old school. When I say old school, I'm talking about before Nissan trucks with ski racks. Old school. You know what I'm saying? Before Nissan trucks with ski racks, old school. The homeboy DJ Verrett, man. And
What's up?
he's a person dear to my heart. First of all, we had got disconnected, and I want to say that we did the Pharcyde was doing a show at the Key Club, and I think he opened up. Where my memory remembers him, I remember seeing him at the Key Club, and I remember seeing him performing, and I remember, and we might have exchanged numbers on social media before, but for whatever reason, the Key Club seems to stand out as kind of like a bookmark of where we kind of reconnected. And it was kind of amazing to me because, you know, he was the homeboy that went away like in high school. And when I mean went away, like he was gone before he finished high school. And then I didn't see him until we was like at the Key Club, at the Key Club. Like, dude, the world had changed. Like when he was back home, how people have like the gold, hell of a gold necklaces and this, that, and the other. He was that dude back then, but he just had an old school, some Dickies, finger wave, t-shirt, like you. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
I knew you then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I knew you then.
Hey,
And
you trade those in.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
You trade this finger wave for some regular waves.
Hey man. He did. So we're gonna get into who he is, but I always like to start and I always like to revolve it around hip hop because hip hop is kind of it. I knew you, DJ, at the time when hip hop was really like impacting like our culture of what was going on. Like we were in junior high school and high school.
Yeah.
And before you got into hustling, before everything went that direction, when did you remember hearing hip hop for the first time?
First time I heard, I was watching Soul Train, and I never forget it was a Saturday because Soul Train was on, and we heard it but never actually didn't see it until the Fat Boys was on Soul Train. And that's the first time I was mesmerized by these brothers that was rapping. They were big, and one was beatboxing, and it really didn't come to the West as it was still in its early stages. So that was like in '82, something like that. '82. That's I had a Shag at the time. That was back in the day. But yeah, that's the first time I heard. Actually seen it on television was on Soul Train. The Fat Boys.
Yeah.
So what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Harbor City and Lomita and San Pedro. I grew up in 3 different areas right there: San Pedro, Harbor City, and Lomita. That's where I grew up at. But my roots are in Harbor City.
And I'm gonna tell you something about Harbor City, man. I'm gonna tell you something really funny. And I kind of learned this through, I'm gonna give a shout out to the OG homeboy Sam. He's doing his thing right now, but we'll see him in a second. But he worked for me for a long time, maybe 2 years, 3 years. And the interesting thing about him, I live in Harbor City, and I lived in Harbor City, like that's where I grew up at, like after age 7. And it's something interesting about Harbor City, other than the group War coming from Harbor City. Understand me? We got stars coming about of Harbor City. Yeah, whenever you hear Slipping in the Darkness and Why Can't We Be Friends, and shout out to Howard Scott. Yeah, Low Rider. Yeah, all that came from Harbor City, where the essays and the brothers kind of came together culturally, and they really did their thing. But the trip about working with Sam, I would do he would help me get shirt jobs with different people, and we'd knock them out at the warehouse. And he would always say, you know, this is my cousin, that's my cousin, this is my cousin. Harbor City was a place where even if you weren't cousins by blood, it was just so tight. Everybody was cousins, man. Like
you grew up together. You grew up together. Your
yeah.
mama will whoop me, my mama will whoop you, all that stuff. We was cousins.
And I'll tell you something funny, man. Did you ever play any sports at the park?
Yeah, I did. Play everything. Play in the street right there, tackling out football.
I keep in touch
All
with
that.
Bobby Chavez, man. Augie. I don't know if you remember. Augie's father was a baseball coach, man. He gave me my first nickname, Spaceman. You know what I'm saying?
At the park right there.
Yeah.
By Buffalo on Burger Bills, where the rocket ship was at the park.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So tell me this. While you were getting your hustle on, did you ever think about how long you were going to be able to sustain it, or it was just something that you were doing at the time because you could do it and it was just available?
No, it was a way out. You know, when you become a certain age, I'm gonna say myself, when I became a certain age, you know, shit, man, we lived in poverty. Never knew it though. Never knew it, you know, because again, you know, it was no problem to knock on your door, you know, send that note to the Bob's store. You know, we need some eggs, you know, Miss Campbell will give us some eggs, or whoever. You dig what I'm saying? So when you become a certain age, it's that peer pressure comes in, you know, riding Huffies or whatever it may be. It's like, man, I want to wear some Nikes versus these Tom McCanns. You know, I don't like Wallabies. I want these NBAs. You know, lunch tickets going to Normont Elementary. You know, everybody had lunch tickets. It was a thing of the past. But when junior high came, the summer of '82, hip hop came out. Stuff called crack came out. You know, gang banging, you know, people started representing. So it's like seeing my peers getting this money, driving these cars, and we were children. You know, my first car I bought, I was 14 years old. You know, 6'9" Impala front back side. Well, it's just front and back. Had front and back on it. Remember that yellow one I used to drive back in the day? I couldn't even drive it. Parked that thing on the other side of the project.
First car was the most gangster car ever.
Yeah, 6'9" Impala, but actually I didn't want to get into the game. I was scared. I saw it, but I couldn't participate in that because my family is so big in Harbor City, you know. So one day a friend of mine came over to the house, and we used to ride bicycles. We used to collect cans, and we used to go to the golf course over there, you know, over there and go collect golf balls and fill them back to the pro shop. And mow lawns around the neighborhood. And he came to my house on a Friday night. I had $27 in my pocket from mowing lawns and collecting cans, because we used to put sand in the cans and take them to recycle. You know, he said, "Man, come on, let's go." You know, so he was my cousin too, basically, even though we weren't blood. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. And so he said, so you know, it's like, Mom, I'm gonna go over his house, and she was like, "Okay, no problem," because we slept in the same crib as we were growing up. You know, my mom and his mama was Soul Train dancers at the time. You know, wow. And yeah, so that's how far we go back. So I jumped on my bike. He's like, "No, leave your bike here." Like, what do you mean? You know, we're gonna catch the bus. He's like, "No, I got a car." We were 14. And he's like, "What you mean you got a car?" And he had a Monte Carlo with the black Monte Carlo with Bondo, you know, spray, you know, the primer, and no passenger window. It was funny. It was cold. So, but he was tall. So we jumped in his car. I was scared. I'm like, "Where'd you get this car from?" He said, I'll tell you. He said, "I sell this right here." I said, "What's that?" And he told me what it was. I'm like, "Oh, wow." And he pulled out a wad of money. And so we drove to Long Beach, and that was it right there. And they showed it to me. They told me, are you scared? I'm like, no, I ain't scared. I was scared. I'm a child. I never seen this, but you know, when you're around your peers, who wants to be like a punk, right?
Mhm.
So I took that $27, Greg, and they gave me a thing called a one shot. Went to the projects right there, and it was 3.5 grams. My first sale was a C note. My second sale was a C note. My third sale was a C note. And I was turned out right then and there. At the end of the night, I had $827. My first day.
How old were you?
13, 14.
13. And then
13,
you took
14,
that.
yeah.
So you was in junior high school. So you took that momentum into
I was
high
in
school.
7th grade. I was in 7th grade, yes.
What I'm saying, like, so about time you was like, I mean, how long was the last, like, you was in high school? You was like the man, obviously, right?
So
Nah, not the man.
hold on real quick. No, in Harbor City, it was, see, we close to San Pedro, and then it was like there was just a lot of drugs that came through us through via the port and all that. Like it was like I want to say we had a bus that went down in our high school, and I want to say there was an undercover something or another, and I want to say we probably had about like 40 people that had got busted between like nutrition and lunch. They did something where they had summons people from their classes and they didn't know, and somebody had told. So I say all that to say drugs were very prevalent. You know what I'm saying?
Very.
We were front. But I'm gonna tell you something I remember about DJ. We did you have Mr. Campolo?
Mr. Campolo, yeah.
So this is okay. So this
I got my
this
driver's license, Mr. Campolo.
this is where
and the trombone.
This where I remember you.
Mm.
See, I was square as a pack of cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? I was in the punk rock. Yeah, flat top.
Oh, yeah, the hot
top. Punk rock, flat top, all kinds of stuff.
Greg, I remember, I don't know if it was a King of Drags or was it KODs
KODs,
or Sex Jerks or something like that.
Yeah, nah, we was cool
with
KODs. Those like little dancing gangsters or whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember DJ one day, like after class or something, he kind of, because we were just cool, but we didn't personally play sports together or nothing like that, but we just had a couple classes. So I remember he went into his pocket and he's like, Campbell, because Mr. Campolo used to call me Campbell, my last name. So he pulled out a knot. He's like, boy, you don't know nothing about this, huh? Boy, your pockets, whatever. And I remember he peeled me off like $200. So it was something that blew my mind. And it was kind of like, you knew what he did, but at school, you never saw him doing nothing like that. Like it was amazing to me that he still came to school, because he was talking about he had the 6'4" when he was 14. By the time he got to high school, he was pulling up in different whips. You know what I'm saying? With the sounds and
yeah, the 280 ZXs, the Cutlass Supremes, the Regals, the Camaros, all that stuff. Yeah, I do remember that time. I had because I didn't have a pencil in the class that time, so Mr. Campolo, you had to buy a pencil for 10 cents. So, you know, he got this young cat with like $1,000 in my pocket, and I just peeled out a big wad of money in the class. Like, this motherfucker just pulled out $1,000, and I said, I don't have any dimes on me, and I do remember that. It was yeah. So you know, during that time, you know, from my first time being turned out, you know, from the game. In order for me to continue, I had to get put on the hood, you know. So I got put on, you know, and even though I grew up there, you know, my family's there on 253rd and Petroleum, you know, right across from the project. So I got put on, and I used to play for Lamita Falcons, and I was small, so they used to call me OJ. That's how I got the name OJ, because I was small. Remember. Yeah, and I was a running back. And they like, every time they had me in that I formation, give me that ball up the middle, I would never run the route. I would hit them, and I'll roll out and hit the sideline, and go up when I played for the Falcons. And like, he runs like O.J. Simpson. Like, why do you run so fast? And I said, oh, shit, I'm scared to get hit. I'm scared to get tackled. You know, and so that's how I got that name OJ. So that's what a lot of people knew me as OJ, because I ran like OJ. They say I ran similar to OJ Simpson. So when I got put on, I wasn't OJ no more. Unless you knew me like Greg, I was. You know, I'm like you know, because of my light skin, I got the moniker Ghost. You know, which I got tatted all over my body. You know, Ghost. And during this time, this rap music is coming out, you know, with the with Low Profile, the Boogie Boys, Roxanne. We really didn't have a lot on West Coast. You know, we had Sinise and Finesse and Sequence. We had King T. King T was coming out. You know what I mean. Coolio was coming out. All these groups are coming out. We're in high school. I think Greg and was Kenji, and all them. We are all from the same area, right? But we chose different paths. I wish I would have went with you guys, you know. You know, but the path I chose was I survived it, you dig what I'm saying? So I'm slanging, buying mama's cars, paying bills. Moved out the house at 15. Started living at the Rose Motel on PCH and Normandy right there. Still went to school. That's what I did, man. And
real quick,
mm-hmm.
you were balling. You were living the dream. Like, I was too young to really understand what was going on, but I saw you pull out that knot, and I understood that. You understand me?
Yeah.
What made you come to high school though? Like, you had cars, you had your mom's, you had her taking care of it in an apartment. You had, like, you was living the dream. Why did you even come to high school?
She asked me to finish school.
Okay.
Just finish school. So I know you're gonna go to college. Just finish high school. You know, I was a smart dummy.
No, you're smart.
Yeah, a smart dummy. You know, when I got put on and all that stuff, man, I got kind of pulled to the side because, you know, I just know how to, you know, the clients, shit, man. I would take care of the clients. You know, the people. You know, I had my little spot. And so, some of the older homies, they saw that, man, and I never put it like this, man. I never liked what I was doing. Never, never liked what I was doing. But you know, the older homies, they groomed me. Do you know what, you know? It wasn't dangerous to me. It was normal. You dig what I'm saying? Like, from somebody on the outside looking in, it looked fun. It looked exciting. You know, smoking blunts in the parking lot, rolling, going to McDonald's for lunchtime. But you only see the results of it. You don't see the work that goes in between this stuff. You dig what I'm saying? And the only thing people see is money and shit like that. But I swear to you, man, I wish I would have chose a different life. But I'm strong enough to have survived that. So I'm going back to band class, the music, the game, the life. I'm a youngster. I had no points of reference. You dig what I'm saying? I had no points of reference because everybody where I'm, you know, not everybody where I'm from has involved themselves in that life, and the ones who didn't involve themselves in that life, just like I asked you, Greg, why you never get involved? You said it was dangerous. I didn't see danger in it. I saw excitement. You know, I saw excitement in it. You see, one thing about the cats I grew up with, they had their vision. If it was music, they had their vision. If it was TV, it was vision. If they had a business, they had a vision. I didn't have a vision. It was like for right now. So that's why I got a chance to watch Greg and Imani and all them and Bowie and Brown blow up on the TV while I'm sitting in the day room in the penitentiary.
So real quick before we go into that, I want to ask you one quick question.
Yeah.
Did you have any brushes with the law before you went on your real journey?
Oh yeah. You know, shit, 15, 16 years old. We on 252nd and Marigold right there. They threw a raid. I sold out. I didn't have nothing else. But one of the homies threw some yayo right there. Police found it, took us all to 77th precinct. The youngsters on this side of the bullpen, the older homies on that other side of the bullpen, and they're like, "You young cat, you young mother, bloop bloop, you better take this case." So you tell the homie who work it was, he's like, "You better take this." I can't. I just got out of juvie. I'm like, "Fuck it, I ain't got no record." So I told the police, hey, what you found was mine. Stupid. So I took the case. They gave me 6 months in a juvenile fire camp. I got out that thing, man. The homies gave me my money back. The older homies gave me my money back, what I had in my pocket. It was a rite of passage. He a rider. He's a rider. Man, that shit has no bearing being a rider. What you gonna put on the resume? Oh, I'm a rider, you know. So from there, man. So yeah, that was my first case right there before the second one came on the same goddamn day. February 6th, 1987. February 6th, 1990. They caught the same goddamn case. Yeah, 2 different years.
So tell us about the day that you ended up going away.
Okay, hold on for 1 second. Now, 10th grade, 11th grade, I'm a senior now. 10th grade. There's a place called Music Plus where you can go buy cassette tapes for $1. The song and the instrumental. I had a 7.7 Cutlass Supreme sitting on Dayton's. Dayton's was the big rims in the 80s, right? And 520s, smoke gray with black half rag. I had humps for the boulevards. I had 4 Pioneer Super 6x9s, and I had them 18-inch Pioneer Sarin Vega. I had the 18s. So I had to put Loctite on my license plate. This song just came out by a group called NWA called Boys in the Hood. It changed the game. I left school, went to Music Plus, and that's when we started, because actually they're talking about our lifestyle, hustling. Dope man. Yeah, that's me, rolling cutlasses. So stuff like that. So man, from there it's like, this is my fucking anthem. You remember that shit, Greg?
Come on, man.
And from there, we used to write little raps and stuff like that, but never took it serious. So me and a couple of homies, we wrote some songs. I went to a cat named Darren Sapp's house, and we recorded a song. It was me and 2 of my homies. And so I got this large amount of money. I don't know what to do with it, but this rap thing, and we got some like tight little lyrics and shit like that. And we recorded the song on a 6-inch reel to reel. He lived in Carson at the time, and it was him, MC Ren, a cat named Antoine. Antoine used to sing like Nate Dogg, but back in the day, like in the late 80s. And that Tuesday, I went and got some work. Gave it to my folks. February 6, 1990, and that's when my life changed.
Do you feel like you was it was like just more about you, or you feel like you was doing it to like take care of your people and stuff, or your homies or whatever?
Career move. It's career. You know, I'm in it now. I'm in it now. What else am I gonna do? You know, if you really look at it, what else I've been doing this since I was 13, 14 years old. What else am I going to do? I'm pretty good at it, you know. So I
Great.
started taking the show out of town because it's like, why stay in LA when I can go to Oklahoma,
Mm.
you know, Arkansas, St. Louis, you know, where I can what I spend right here, I can duplicate that 5 times for the same amount.
You mind me asking, what's the most you had before you went in?
147.
Oh my God.
And I had and I spent another 80 on work.
Dude, 147 back then was damn near like 300 cash right now. Like that was
So
like it was that was when money was worth something. When a 20 was like a 50.
Man.
Yeah. When that changed, man, I got some work, and because I was getting them kind of dirt cheap. I was getting them kind of dirt cheap, and I would take them and I would sell them for 40 G's a pop just to get rid of them.
Mm.
You know, and I would so all that hanging out, you know, you start getting a little paranoid. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want too many people knowing what you got. You know, and so the flashy stuff with the Corvettes and all that stuff, just never really. Every time I go to the neighborhood, I'll take the Cutlass. You know, you will see me in a Cutlass most of the time. You wouldn't see me in that Vet. You know, so from there, you know, with that right there, and then what Mom's had at the house over there, and then you know, for my overhead, I lost a lot, but I didn't know what to do with it. I should have bought a house in Malibu some goddamn well.
Man, you had it.
But I had no direction with it.
Was it harder to
So
or was it
it was
easier
for
to
me.
buy?
It was for me. It was for me basically.
I was it was it easier to like buy things, like, because you know I know nowadays it's probably harder to buy like cars or houses, you know, just off that type of money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, back in the day, you got to understand when I bought that 280 ZX, you know, the president of Nissan in Long Beach, he was smoking crack, so it was not a problem. So you go to Nissan, you know, give him a half a zone, just chop that thing up and feed it to him. He'll take care of all the paperwork, and next you know, here go the keys to that thing, and the pink slip coming in the mail.
So real quick to cut on your story for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, this is kind of how it was. If you was rolling, Jeremy, you could just show up to these little used. So he was dealing with Nissan. You could show up to the local car dealership, and if you had bread, you didn't need a license. you didn't need nothing. You gave bread, you got pink slip, you got whip, and you were straight.
Yeah, my cousin PJ, he knew exactly what I was doing because that was my family right there. You know, Alfred Scott, he rests in peace right
Rest
now.
in
But
peace.
that's my cousin right there, and my real cousin. You know, so so he knew what I was doing, but he was like, I ain't fucking with that. You know, but yeah, I got in the game for myself in order to
career move. Yeah.
Career move basically.
No, I understand.
So then February 6th, I caught the case. They got popped. They told the feds that I gave it to them, which they didn't have to. You know, and you got to understand, all your viewers and everybody and who may be watching this, that's a part of the game. You know, some cats gonna stay true to it. I did. You know, there's many of us who has. You know, because I knew the consequence. You never prepare for it. You never know when it's going to be your last day on the bricks. You dig what I'm saying? When you deal with this lifetime. That's why I got all this stuff on my lips right here from being kidnapped and all that stuff. That's part of the game too. You dig? And so caught the case, I bypassed a lot of stuff, but when I caught the case, I just turned 19. I was fresh out of high school. I spent 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. He's like, when he gonna stop, huh? 36.
I'm gonna tell you something dope, man. I was talking to DJ earlier when we were off camera. I was just talking to him. I just wanted to talk to him about the questions and everything. And I shared with him, it's certain people that you come across in life and you see them. And I'm the kind of cat, like when I would go out, and whether I was with the Pharcyde or just going out to a club or something, either I see you and head the opposite direction and try to dip out, or when I see you, I'm just really elated. When I was so happy to see DJ, when I saw him at the Key Club, and it was kind of crazy because I brought him, Imani, I think Imani remembered who he was. Brown didn't know who he was, but I was like, yo, man, this is my homeboy. You know what I'm saying? He'd been away for a while. He went and did his thing while he was gone. And the very impressive thing about DJ is that I've had 4 people that I've known, 2 people that I've been around extensively that were gone, not gone as long as he was gone, but I'll say 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And the thing that impressed me about DJ is these other cats were institutionalized. That like their mind was kind of like, I'm not gonna say it was sad to me, but when I looked at them, I was just kind of like, man, you're out of jail. Like you're out of. Well, they were in jail. They weren't in prison. I guess that probably is the thing. And I'm kind of like, man, we got iPhones now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like dudes that couldn't even wrap their mind around smartphones and whatnot. And when I saw DJ, the first thing was just like, okay, I'm happy to see my little homeboy. Like, man, this is my homeboy. This the dude. He gave me money. I wasn't even involved in the life, but he was just always a good dude. But when I talked to him, we exchanged numbers, and he called me, and we talked on the phone for a while. But he atoned for what he did. He took 100% ownership, and he wasn't mad at the world. And I kind of clicked with him on a level because I tell people all the time, and not to turn it into my story, but we're going to get to him, but I tell people all the time, when my mom passed away, I saw a lot of people get very angry at like how she passed away. And I knew that I could have been an angry person and just use that as an excuse to just be like, you know what, F everybody. I'm just on one. I'm wild. You know what I'm saying? The wildest I got was commitment to a woman. I've had issues with that. You know what I'm saying? That's about the wildest I got, but it didn't change me into like this hardened person where I was just negative or whatever. And when I talked to DJ, him going through all those years, and he told me that when we were talking, he's like, dude, I had X amount of birthdays away. Like, man, I turned into a man away. He was like, dude, when you guys were 19 and 20 and 21 and out and able to go to clubs and do this, that, and the third, whatever, he was like, dude, I was paying the price for a lifestyle that I lived. And what impressed me was that he owned it and he wasn't sour. Like there was no hatred in his heart. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing about it, I'm not going to put it on any religious stuff because it wasn't like he was preaching the way a preacher preaches or just whatever. But I don't know if somebody steered him in the direction or whatever, but his conversation to me, even before he put the book in my hand, From Life in a Maze to an Amazing Life.
I love that quote. Yeah,
From life in a maze to an amazing life. He was like he was preaching to me. You know what I'm saying? But not preaching in a way where, okay, you need to do this and don't do that or whatever. But okay, I won't say preaching I'll say
I was just sharing with you.
I forget the name, but you were sharing your experience with me, and it was amazed that you had went through so much, man, and you didn't come back home with this hard and upset and mad and all this. You immediately knocked the dust off. Because you shared a couple of situations with me after you got out where you had encountered people that you knew from the life before, and that was amazing to me because OJ comes, or DJ. OJ, I've known this dude forever.
That's all right.
He comes from an area where like it's a lot of homeboys, whether they gang banging, whether they're not gang banging. We know each other from the park, we know each other from baseball, we know each other from football. And when he got out, he had told me a couple of situations where he was around dudes that was kind of like not necessarily into the same thing, but their mind was totally different than where he was. And it impressed me because his mind, talking to him, you never would have known he had been away. Like his mind was like somebody that I could have met at a bar. We have a conversation. I'm like, dude, I want to do business with this cat. You know what I'm saying? Like he was on it. He was on it like he wanted it. So, question: after you were in and you did your thing, how did you end up acting and being on the Sons of Anarchy? Like, how did that come about?
Man, it's gonna blow your mind. To touch on with the change that happened. I was angry, homie. I was angry. I was pissed the hell off. I hated the world. I stayed true to the game. I'm a soldier, and then I got to really thinking about that shit, man. What can I put on my resume? I'm a soldier. I'm a rider. You can that shit don't mean nothing, in the real world, So there was a man named he was a food service foreman. I've been in the pen for a long ass time, about 16 years already. Named Mr. Wilson. He was a brother, and he would let me come in to make blueberry pancakes. And so he's like, man, how long you been in prison? I said, 16 years. He's like, when you get out? I said, next year. He said, why are you in prison? I said, the homies told on me. He said, they put people in prison for people telling on you? I'm like, yeah. He said, why are they telling on you? Just because? He said, what they telling you for? So I said, oh, I gave him some work, and it kind of work. Like you gave him a construction job. He was a brother. He was cool. He was an older cat. I said, nah, man, none of the damn construction job. When you work in a warehouse, I'm like, nah, man. He said, I gave him some drugs. Oh. He said, so if you never gave them drugs, then they would never have told on you. He said, so what was your part in it? He said, your part was giving them the drugs. And the ugly side of the lifestyle, them telling on you. But that's part of the lifestyle already. So I said, you just fucked up my appetite. And I walked the track. I went and got me a gallon of wine. I went and got me rolled a couple of blunts up, sat on the bleachers and thought about that shit and said, man, I can change this. And so from there, man, I just made a decision, man. I've been walking. Prisons are like a maze, like a rat in a maze. So I'm like, I'm living life in a maze, and I'm going to live an amazing life. You dig what I'm saying? But I don't know how I'm gonna do it. But I know that I still have my soundness of mind. But I have to ask the universe to get rid of this bitterness and this anger, and look at my part in everything that I do, because you got to understand that there's been some arrested development, because Greg said when they were going to clubs and doing what they're doing, I'm walking the track, lifting weights, politicking, set tripping in a dangerous environment. So I had to read some books, man. Read some books, not the Bible, but I read some books, man, about positive change and stuff like that. And it was time for me to touch down. I got out. My cousin Sam picked me up and he gave me some dress out. I still got that Shine John velour sweatsuit, that he got me, and I connected with some cats, man, and said, I don't know how to be a man. I look like a man, but I don't know how to be a man. And so
At any point
stuff
did you
started,
think
you
I was gonna ask, at any point did you think you was gonna get out sooner?
No, I was trying to max out on the 20 because I didn't want to be on parole. And so they wouldn't let me do it. So I did the 17 and they cut me loose. And so I got out after that, man, and connected with some cats, man. The universe blessed me because I looked at the world, like Greg said, man, the internet didn't exist. You know, iPhones, all, you know, the 105 freeway didn't exist. You know, they built a damn freeway when I was in prison. You know, the projects in Harbor City are gone. You know, Greg and Imani and all them, they've been hip hop legends for 20 years already. You know, cat, you know, my mom is getting older, everything changed, man. So it's like, and never make up for lost time, live in the now. And so there's a cat named Thich Nhat Hanh. He wrote a book called The Art of Power. So I studied, I didn't read it, I studied the book, The Art of Power. And it's all about this inside, you know, it's how to get out the maze. And here we go. I was in at a coffee shop. And when I first got out, I was like 200 pounds. So you know, they call me Ghost. You know, I got these tattoos of Casper the Ghost on my arm. This white chick walks up on me, and I had a little flip phone, a little singular wireless flip phone, pull the antenna out, and I don't know how to work this motherfucker, you know. And she comes up to me and says, "Hey, I like your look." I still had the long hair at the time too, you know. And then her husband comes up and says, yeah, I said, "Honey, I like your look." I'm like, well, he must want me to hit that or something, you know. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, you know. A woman come up and say, "I like your look," and like, "Honey, I do like his look," you know. And I was like, man, so it's like, yeah, we're casting agents for a TV show, and you think you can play a convict. And I just started laughing. I only been out, what, a year? You know, still on probation. I'm like, yeah, I think so. And she said, "Man, your elbows is ashy." She went in her purse and got some lotion. Now, this is a white chick. She said ashy. You know, white people don't use the word ashy. You know what I'm saying? So she actually put some lotion on my arms, and she grabbed my arm and saw the tattoo of Casper the Ghost on my back arm and said, "That's my name. My name is Kathy Casper. This is supposed to happen." And she looked at me and touched my chest, and I moved, and she said, "You've been somewhere before." And I said, "I have." She said, "Baby, I'm gonna help you." And she gave me her card, and her husband said, "Man, my name is Jim." Gave me his card, man. He said, "Man, call here." Because remember, at the time, I was twirling Verizon wireless signs, Greg. You know, so they gave me it to me. They gave me the address at the old county jail downtown. I met Ronald Lawrence. I met Pancho Hodges. I met Ron Perlman. I met Charlie. You know, they call Jax. Katie Seagal. You know, Kurt Sutter. Me and Katie were in the same book called Moments of Clarity. A friend of mine who was my neighbor, his name was Christopher Kennedy Lawford. It was fucking JFK's nephew and Peter Lawford's son. And that was my neighbor. And he asked me to be a part of his book, which became a bestseller for like 14 weeks. And when they saw me, like, "DJ, what are you doing there?" I said, "Man, I met them. They want me to be on the show. Like, we getting ready to do a prison scene. You think you can help us out with it?" I'm like, that's how it started.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've been with SAG after ever since.
I'll say something else that impressed me about you. You learn golf. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I played that golf. I played last week actually.
Wow.
You know, so oh yeah, let me tell you, man. So it's for all your listeners too, man. I started making a lot of money, easy money, with this TV shows. Um, I got I forgot. I got caught up. I need to make more. I need to make more. Um, I wasn't happy, you know. I just wasn't feeling right. But and I ran to this cat in Venice Beach, and he told me what you have does not equate your self-efficacy. What, I don't know this dude. He said, what you have does not equate your self-efficacy. Build a solid foundation. And from there, it's like, I don't even know this dude. He just stopped me and told me, I guess I was radiating some foulness or something, right? But I still didn't remember. I'm 36 years old and I'm still of the mentality of a 19-year-old. And I said, I want to be different. I want to be different. I can't let that 17 years be in vain. And from there, man, I continued to twirl Verizon wireless signs at $8.50 an hour. And I had a lot of money in the bank. And I'm still making $8.50 an hour. Learning how to date. Some of the homies had called me and said, man, you still one of my homies he just got out and said, man, you still doing that rap stuff? I'm like, nah, man, I'm fucking with that too old. He's like, man, you still got it, man. Because if you do a show in the penitentiary, motherfuckers boo you. You gonna see them later on that day, So ain't no walking around and and so they gonna ride you for 10 years, or whatever it may be. So we went to the studio and we started recording some songs, and that's when I had got back in contact with you again, Greg, through the social media. And a friend of mine was a professor at the University of Ankara, in Turkey, Ankara, Turkey. And so from the TV shows, being on a Hollywood Christmas parade, my PO actually seeing me on the float, me and Lorna Scott. He called me in and said, what are you doing? I said, man, I was at the parade, man. I made my curfew. He said, man, get you a lawyer. I saw you. I don't need you on my caseload no more. And from there, man, the same judge gave me the 20 years. He died, but the other one who took his place, she said, keep doing God's work. And during this time, I went to my neighborhood and knocked on everybody's door that I did know and said, I'm Kathy's son. I want to apologize for my part in this. He said, what are you doing? I said, I helped make our neighborhood unsafe, and I'm sorry for my part. I said, I just got out of prison, and I'm so sorry for what I've helped create. And they're like, keep doing God's work. I knocked on Mr. Garcia's door. Told me to get the fuck off my porch. You're the reason why. You're one of the reasons why I can't sell my house. I said, I'm sorry. And other people said, continue to do God's work. So I'm starting to make amends to my community and apologizing for my behavior and being a part and making the neighborhood dangerous. But then all of a sudden, these TV shows started to air and people started to see me. Like, the homie Ghost just got out of prison. This motherfucker on TV now. And then stuff like that. So when I spoke with Greg, when I first came home, a cat named Fred, who was my neighbor, is my neighbor's father, said, you have an amazing story, and I do like what you've done. I had 4 songs that weren't even mastered. He had me go to the University of Ankara in Turkey to perform in Ankara in Turkey. I performed in Bodrum Izmir. I went to Pumakali. I went to Truva. I performed at all these local clubs. I felt like you would have thought that I sold 20 million albums. I had 4 singles, four BS that weren't even mastered, just all instrumentals with my ad libs on it, and I had fun out there. And I came back and I spent a month, almost 2 months in Europe. Went to Germany, all these different places. And it's like, man, I'm from the projects. How did this happen? And then for my birthday, I called Greg. He was like, man, we doing a show at the Key Club. And that's why I performed at the Key Club a couple of times, but now I get to watch my childhood friends do it, you know, and I watched them grow, man.
That's dope. So tell me this, when you decided to write the book, what was your process?
From being a public speaker and traveling and doing that, people would always say, you need to write a book. How do you write a book? I'm not an author. I'm not an author. I'm not a writer. It's like you're a good orator. You know how to speak. Start chronologically. So I sat down from my computer for 3 years, man, and just wrote chronologically a story, and then start piecing that thing together so it can have meaning. You know, I didn't want to glorify the lifestyle. I want to tell you from my point of view looking in. I want you to walk with me and saying that, you know, choices. But that's how I wrote that book, An Inside Job from Life, an Amazing Life. And I had a lot of support with it, you know, from the people I've done television shows with. My friend Kim Delaney. Hey, what's up, Kim? She's, you know, from NYPD Blue and Army Wives. Great person, good friend of mine. I call him Uncle Louis Gossett Jr. You know, Lou gonna see this right here. We FaceTime every morning. We FaceTime.
Wow.
And so the process was, I'm working on my next one called Dreaming Out Loud, and life took, you know, life is good, man. You know, I went back to school, Greg.
Wow.
I finished high school. I finished high school.
Congratulations.
The continuation school. I graduated high school at 38, Greg. I wanted the ring where I went to school at. I wanted my diploma to reflect where I went to school. I didn't want a GED. I wanted a high school diploma. So I took the courses. I took them home, and I completed high school at 38. On the back of my credits, I graduated with a 3.38. I went to school. I went and got an AA degree. You know, I got married. I got kids. You know,
just like you.
Yeah, I got, you know, got kids. Got divorced.
Got a motorcycle. Got a cool
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. Did all that, you know. So it's like, what kind of person I'm gonna be? You know, cats know me, you know, but they don't know me. And I think that from everything that I've been through validates, like, this cat can, if this cat been through the ringer, and look at him now, because people don't know unless I tell them, unless they Google me, right? So yeah, I got divorced. That was a hard thing, but I may not be a husband, but I'll always be a dad. My kids are behind that wall right there, asleep right now, you know, with the little braids in their hair. That's what I do, man. And I want to give back. I want to work. So the funny thing about it was that there was a position open for a clinical supervisor in a jail. I put my resume in. Yeah. I worked there for 3 years.
Wow.
I worked in the jail with 112 inmates. And some of the homies used to come through there, Greg. And I said, if you tell them my story, I'm gonna send you back to Chino. My story is my story to tell. You will not call me DJ. You will not call me Ghost. You will not call me OJ. You will call me Mr. Verrett. My story is my story to tell. And the only one that knows this is the CC3. I said, so I will send you back to Kilpatria. I will send you back to Lancaster.
Tell me, have your views on religion changed over the course of time? I know a lot of time has passed and you went through so many different, processes in your evolution, whatever. What was your views on religion as you progressed?
I did a lot of shoe time because I was a mess up. I did a lot of shoe time. So the only book they're gonna give you the Bible or the Quran. So I retained most of the information. I'm not a religious person at all. It's not for me. It's not for me. My views on religion is more of a tradition thing. I look at myself more of a spiritual person, which is the invisible part, which is connected to this thing called God, which God's invisible through my physical, my visible, and my invisible. I connect with the invisible is when I get into my space. All right. So one thing about that was having that experience of reading these books and actually retaining a lot of that information. When I went to Turkey, I understood the concept of Islam. When I went to Greece, I understood the concept of Christianity. So when I come back, I Buddhism, the Hindus. My friends are so diverse, man. It's like, how do you know DJ? Oh, DJ comes to the mosque. How do you know DJ? DJ comes to the church. How do you know DJ? He comes to the ashram. It's like, man, because I connect all these people together from different religions. It's like, because like pop that fucking, excuse my language, pop that fucking bubble. Get out your bubble. Yeah. So religion, and I'm like, that's your religion. Okay, it's all good, but we still gonna go play golf. Hindu, Muslim, Christian, atheist, we're still gonna go. So my view on religion is, to use your way to me mine.
I like that.
So tell me this. Out of everything you've been through, out of all your experience, what would you say is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice, I can make that a two-part question, is to don't regret the past. All right. And believe that you can do anything you set your mind to. It may sound cliche, you may have heard before, but that's the piece of advice. Don't make it for lost time and do not regret the past. I have something to give to this universe, to the world. And that's what I'm supposed to do. I never imagined being a dad.
Two times.
I got that right 2 times
at the same time.
Yeah. I got a chance to dream out loud. You dig what I'm saying? I got, when you guys were doing your thing with the music, I'm in the penitentiary. I got out, I did the music. I had fun with it. It was fun. I had no problem with it. I got a chance to do some things that if this dude did that much time and he's living the life he lives now, and I ain't never been to prison, but I tell cats, you've been in the prison of your own making. Right here. You've been in the prison of your own making. So like I said, when I worked in that jail, it was like, look how far I came. I thought it was impossible, but it's possible. That makes sense? And like when some of the homies come through and they see me, like, you're the number 2, you're the clinical supervisor here? I'm like, yeah. From impossible to possible. And I'm like, it takes discipline, man. It takes discipline. And I tell them, you can take my spot, but you're gonna have to stay diligent to it. And it's not easy. It's not easy. You got to connect yourself with men on a high vibration, high frequency, on a higher mindset. So if these cats hang around you long enough, Greg, and do what you do, they're gonna produce similar results as you.
Mm-hmm.
If I hang around the homies, I look like being 50 years old, hanging on the second, chilling. The hell I look like. I need to be at home when Jeopardy come on. Yeah. But yeah, that's this is my religion right here. It's my tradition. Go home. But my spiritual being is abandon the life my distorted thinking created and live the life my soul intends me to live. I'm supposed to live like this right now.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Well, man, I want to thank you for giving me this time. And like I said, man, I feel bad that I never came and to your situation, but you would hit me up on Tuesdays. And Sam was telling me every Tuesday. Sam was like, yo, man, he said hit him up, man. He said hit him up. I'm like, man, I got to finish up these shirts and finish what I got going on here at the studio, get up to where we would do because we used to do the podcast at a live location. And then when COVID and everything kind of jumped off, we played with the Zoom situation for a second. And then I guess I kind of had the choice whether we could be in there. You know what? We did go and do it in the studio. I think maybe a little bit when it first jumped off. And then Brown gave me the choice of doing Zoom. And when we first started out, it was raggedy, like not on Brown or nothing like that, but just Jeremy and myself just trying to work it out and figuring it. But I'll tell you the crazy thing. When COVID jumped off, one thing that made me feel good was that all these people that wanted to hop into the double dutch of podcasting and all, the whole, wanting to be internet, this is that's in the third. Jeremy was it was rough doing it, but the progression was very easy because we could. Oh, sorry about that. Oh man, it says my internet is unstable.
I don't be knowing if that's me or whoever. Yeah, you might want to
okay.
Run that back again.
Nah, that was me. It said my internet's unstable, which is whack because mine is never like that. But anyway, what I was saying is, because we had started doing Splendid before COVID, once COVID jumped off and we couldn't go to the studio, the blessing was we were kind of ahead of the game through what we had to kind of work through to kind of get the Zoom thing down a little bit. And I can remember going to Best Buy I wanted to get a camera and I wanted to get some lighting. Oh, that was sold out. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, oh man, I'm going to be a podcaster. I'm going to be this, that, and the third. But anyway, man, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your truth with us. Let's give them your IG, your website. And one more thing before you do that, he also does photography, incredible photographer. That we didn't even, I kind of felt like you can't put everything somebody do in a, like not everything, but he's very talented cat. But give your social media information and anybody you want to shout out, all that kind of thing.
All right, yeah. If you want a copy of my book, go to www.mrdjverrett.com, and you can order all the merchandise, the hats, the hoodies, the t-shirts, my book. And my IG is Mr_Ghost_Loc, LOC. And hit me up, man. Again, I want to thank you, Splendid Greg, Jeremy, for inviting me to come on through. Never feel bad about things because you're a responsible grown ass adult, and I want what you got, brother. I want what you got. You got a good
Nah, I feel
quality
bad,
life.
man. I feel like I should have
Don't
been
feel
more
bad.
available, man. I really like in retrospect, you know.
Nah, man, nah. You know, sometimes is life, life is life is in session, man. You know, you got a lot of stuff, so never, ever feel bad of not of reaching out, because you do call me, I call you. You call me, I call you. I called you, and like actually one day I was like, man, where's this motherfucker at? This motherfucker ain't taking my call. Come to find out, y'all was on tour in a different continent. You know, and when you hit me back, it's like, man, we was in like Germany some damn where. I'm like, oh, all right, you know, it's all good, man, but never ever feel bad. Um, you gave me my 39th birthday at the Key Club, and you know, I got a chance to see you guys do that. You know, like I said from the beginning, you know, 35 years ago. Look at what we're doing right now. We're talking via internet. You got your show. You're doing what you're doing. That's a blessing, man. And all I do is you and Jeremy, man. You know, need more brothers like you, man. Smooch.
Nah, that's tight. And I'll say this before we get to Jeremy. Man, it was a lot of characters that we grew up with. You know, we just, even though we chose different paths, we were on a similar vibration. We just chose different paths. But it's a lot of cats that I grew up with that, man, if my phone rang and I looked down and saw the number, it'd be like, all right. You know what I'm saying? You're one of those numbers. If I wasn't picking up, I was literally doing something. And it's so funny because Sam, he would say it to me. He'd be like, yeah, man, I just talked to OJ, man, whatever. And I'm like, man, I got to get these shirts out. I got to do whatever. But you're definitely one of those calls that I've never looked at the phone and been like, oh, man, whatever. It's literally been something going on. And I'm just like, man, I got to get this handled. But nah, man, love you like a brother. I appreciate your growth. You know what I'm saying? I try to find, because of my story, I try to find motivation and things of encouragement in people as well as situations. And I can say your situation has definitely been amazing to me. Once again, even if you did come out with hate or you know, or anger or whatever it was about your scenario, I never saw it. You know what I'm saying? Which was a great example, you know, to me. You know,
I was not upset. I was not upset. I accepted responsibility for my actions, my behaviors. And because of that, my values, my beliefs, and my associates have actually changed. And that's why I got a chance to thrive, because I have nobody holding me down. Everybody that I know is uplifting me and cheering me on. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what it is. You see, one thing I do know, I'm gonna share with you before I know you guys get ready to go, but ain't nothing wrong, man, with being a copycat as long as you copy the right cat. You dig what I'm saying? Copy the right cat. And that's what it boils down to right there. See, right now our palm's gonna be down, because we gotta teach those who act like they don't know, but who say they know but don't know. You know, God can still be that conduit, be that catalyst for that positive growth. So hopefully one day they'll wake up and their values and beliefs change and say, you know what, I'm ready to live versus survive. Fuck survive, I want to live. Excuse my language.
Oh, good. Jeremy, anything you want to shout out?
Oh man, no, nothing on my end. I'll just say Jeremy Comedy, at Jeremy Comedy on Instagram, Jeremy Scipio, SCIPPIO.com for everything else.
Dang.
Oh, and a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff. And Happy New Year. Don't be mad at 2020. You know.
We learned a lot.
Yeah. We all learned a lot, yeah.
Boy, did we. Well, no, man, thank you, gentlemen. And we're going to do it again because as you continue to evolve, DJ, we're going to throw you back into the rotation and come back and support you and, you know, shout out the things that you have going on. So, no, man, this was Splendid Radio on